Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Alice.
And I'm Manya.
Last time we discussed subject selections and we ended with a bit of talking about extended essay, CAS, and TOK. But today we're gonna discuss extended essay, CAS, and TOK more in depth.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, extended essay is basically a 4,000 word essay that you write in 11th or 12th grade, depending on what your school decides. And it's typically focused on an area that you want to research. TOK, it stands for Theory of Knowledge, and it's kind of like an intro to philosophy course.
Yeah.
As for CAS, it stands for Creativity, Activity, or Service, which you might be familiar of or might have heard before, where basically you are required to have 50 hours per strand, and it's kind of IB's way of giving you an opportunity to do some extracurricular activities. So, just to get started, which part of CAS is easier for you to do?
Personally, I would say that creativity is one of the easiest ones, because you could basically say like, oh, I practiced my instrument and I learned this song, and that will be like an experience, like quite easy to do if you have, the facilities to, allow you to do that. Right. But I guess overall it really depends on what options you have available and what your school offers. For example, at my old school, there weren't very many opportunities for sports, so obviously you were a little bit more limited with activity. Yet here it's a lot more, I think sports are a lot more valued here. So yeah, definitely it depends on where you are.
Right.
What about you?
I think creativity as well, just because it's a lot more independent, so you could literally come up with any activity, and then it basically just depends on your ability to justify it and qualify it as creativity, then you're good to go. I think service is next. Service is not that hard to do. You might have to look for service opportunities within your community, but you should be able to find some, so it's not super duper hard. You could also just help out like a teacher and call that a service.
I think this school really does make it a lot easier to do service.
As for activity, I personally think it's the hardest to do, but that's just because I don't like to exercise.
I can judge. It's not like I'm much of an athlete, so you're right, because honestly what I have for now for activity is running and going to the gym like every once in a while. But that's about it. I'll probably need to come up with something extra in the future, but it's that question of like, oh, what's activity other than like joining a school sport? Activity is just painful. Okay, so what CAS ideas do you have that might be helpful for everyone? I remember in the beginning of 11th grade, this one person said that we could do some online courses. So for example, this was like an example, it's not like I did, but learning how to program like a video game on an online website could be considered activity. And so could be considered creativity. And so it didn't seem too hard. So that was like an example that I received. Or now I'm trying to think. There was obviously the option of like volunteering at school events. That was an easy one for service. What about you?
I think one that's really good for creativity is just drawing or doing like crafting or whatever it is that you like to do on your own time, and just putting that in as a CAS experience. Because one, you'll be motivated to do it because you like it, and two, you'll be like getting some CAS hours done, and you can kind of use that. Another idea for service, like Alice said, is just volunteering at school, or maybe what you could do is you could like tutor someone. That's a good one too, and you could probably twist that into a CAS project if you happen to do it with someone who's in the same grade as you, and you can just be like, we worked collaboratively and I tutored them for a month and stuff like that. As for activity, you could honestly just do 30-minute workouts, like maybe once or twice a week. And have that for activity.
I guess one of the ones that was like easier for me to do at my old school was creativity because I did a lot of like with music. So for example, I had the ensemble in the morning, which was a little bit tedious to wake up and go to school at 7:45.
Right.
But it counted as CAS, and so I guess also having things that last for a long time does help. So yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said before, CAS is an opportunity to use your time wisely in terms of extracurricular activities. Like, IB is making this a requirement for you so that when so that you can put these activities into your college application. And it makes you look like a well-rounded student. So although when you're doing it, you're kind of questioning what the point of it is, it's really helpful when during your application process.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So moving on to the extended essay. So like I said before, the extended essay is a 4,000 word essay. It doesn't have to be 4,000 words. It's typically somewhere from 3,500 to 4,000 words, depending on whatever subject you choose. And I'm doing an English EE. What about you, Alice?
I have chosen to do one also in English. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Alice is a bit of a special case.
Oh, it's fine.
In the sense that she came to this school midway through the year, so she still hasn't started on her EE.
It's fine. Because the thing is that at my old school, we would have started in January. Like, basically... my old classmates are the same time as I am, basically. So technically I'm not tardy.
Right.
Compared to my old school.
Right.
But yeah, here it's definitely very confusing because I'm very much questioning all the time, what am I supposed to do? But it's always good to, but here it was always, like, immediately when I came here, Mr. Akin, the IB coordinator, he was very, like, welcoming, and he obviously, like, told me that I shouldn't stress too much on this because I already have a lot going on with, like, coming to a new school and also, like, with other things. So, yeah, he told me for now to, just take 2 weeks to choose a subject, and I chose English. I still don't know what exactly I'm gonna, like, focus on. That's the point that I'm at. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you have any advice for anybody who's probably going through a similar situation?
What I advise you to do is very much go to your IB coordinator and ask them what's going on and what you can do, but also make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself because you probably got a lot on your plate already. So you don't want to make it too hectic. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So I don't really.
What about you've done your 1,000 words?
Yeah. So our checkpoint was last week, if I'm not wrong, and it was for 1,000 words. So I have 1,000 words written. It's not that I dislike writing my EE.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just that writing a 4,000 word essay doesn't seem like a good way to spend your time. Yeah. 'Cause most of the time you're just questioning what you're doing and why you're doing it. But it's definitely good if you're trying to go into academia because it focuses a lot on independent research and coming up with the research question and formulating a thesis statement according to your research question. So it's very helpful if you're going to pursue researching as a career.
Yeah, and I also think that in general it gives you an idea of what you're going to do at university because, again, I'm not fully sure how it's called, but I know that at least, like, from what I've heard from my cousins, that they needed to kind of write some long, essays. And so I guess that the extended essay tries to kind of get the idea of what you're going to be expected to do in university.
Yeah, so it, like, really emulates what you might have to do in university. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to TOK. Yeah. So TOK stands for Theory of Knowledge, like I said before. It's kind of like philosophy in the sense that you're questioning everything. You're asking questions about literally everything. Yeah, quite literally. Like, for example, if the statement is the sky is blue, in TOK you'll probably ask what is the sky, what is the color blue? And, you know...
And how's it different to someone else?
Yeah.
Like, for example, if someone is colorblind, how is that for them?
Yeah, how do people perceive color? Do people see it differently? Or does everybody see the same colors?
It's confusing, I will admit that. But it does open up your perspectives in some ways, and how, first of all, you shouldn't really always be stuck in your own mindset. You should try sometimes to, you know, go out there and kind of get the perspective of someone else, even though you yourself know you're not going to agree with them.
Right.
It makes you a more well-rounded person if you at least have an idea of, you know, the fact that there are other opinions and other perspectives and experiences that are valid as much as yours.
Yeah. So TOK does do a good job of viewing the world in different ways, and it talks about subjectivity and objectivity.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the main points about it. And I think, I'm not sure, but what TOK aims to do is that it makes you question everything.
Yeah.
So that you can come up with your own answers and decide what's right for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this saying that they say of how we make our own maps. That's a common theme, just having a map. And yeah, TOK kind of gives you this idea of how now that we're growing up, we also need to make sure that we're making our own map as well, and how we make it is how it's gonna define.
Yeah. It basically teaches you to think for yourself.
Yeah.
In a very roundabout, confusing, and hard way.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it does a good job though.
Yeah, it is quite challenging though, because when I started TOK, at least in my old school, it was not as tough as I thought it would, but different schools treat it differently, and so I noticed here that it's a lot more intense, especially because it's for 2 semesters and not 4.
Yeah.
So obviously the content is very much kind of thrown at you, and you need to make sure that you're on board. And they also say that you need to treat TOK as a HL class if you want to get those 7s.
Right.
Which to me I was okay. Did not expect that. But okay.
Yeah. Even if you don't treat it like an HL class, it is an HL class because it requires you to think and formulate answers and ideas how an HL class would. For example, at our school, they make us do quizzes every week based on 40, 50 pages of readings, and we have to take handwritten notes.
Yeah, it's intense.
Because it's an open note quiz, and you're not allowed to have notes on documents or whatever. So it's really intense.
Yeah.
Maybe in other schools it's different. I know that in my old school, I'm not really sure, but the teacher would create PowerPoints and you would take notes based on that. I don't think they did the weekly quiz thing that we do
neither
here.
did I in my old school.
Yeah. So it really depends on how your school approaches it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be nice about it. Other times they'll be really mean.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's fine.
Yeah. But like Alice said, if you want to get 6s or 7s in TOK, you need to treat it like an HL class.
Yeah.
It's just hard for you to get a 6 or a 7 if you're approaching it with the mindset of, it's just an external requirement.
Oh, yeah.
I just need it to get my diploma. I just need to pass. If you want 6 and 7s, you need to really work hard.
Yeah, especially because this also counts with your extended essay and CAS. All these things at the end, they really do kind of matter on whether you're actually going to pass or not. So, yeah.
Yeah. So make sure to work hard on TOK. So another thing about TOK is that there are a lot of interdisciplinary connections. You can connect it to English, history, basically any social science, depending on how broad your discussion is in class. For English, right now we're talking about dystopian literature and how, we perceive the world in perspective and all of that. And TOK, one of the main key concepts in TOK is perspective. So you can kind of see those connections forming.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moving on. Time management, CAS, EE, and TOK. These 3 external requirements may not sound like a lot, but when you start working on them,
it's a lot.
It is a lot.
No, yeah, definitely.
Like, you need to devote a significant amount of time to these 3. Otherwise, you're going to end up either rushing or you're just not going to end up finishing. And then the next thing you know, you're not getting your IB diploma.
No, yeah, I remember in my old school, the 12th graders, what they told us 11th graders is that the summer before 12th grade is not actually vacation.
No.
Because for them, the 12th graders, the 12th graders, they're still working, or soon to be 12th graders, they're working on their extended essay still, but you still have CAS, and you probably have some IAs that you've got like up in the air. And so really, time management is crucial here.
Yeah, it's really key.
Yeah, because you hear those people, those like maybe 5 people in the class that always like procrastinate, and you will just hear them, like, see them on their stories on Instagram that they're just like, okay, I've got like nothing on my essay.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's like those people that really kind of pushed it to the limit. And
yeah, like, time management is key. If you are not organized, or if you don't know how to manage your time properly, there's no way you're getting CAS E and TOK done.
Yeah, honestly, that's not false. Yeah,
like, I know this is gonna sound repetitive, but don't procrastinate.
But yeah, it's really just like, to a certain level, we all do procrastinate, but 11th and 12th grade, please start like being a little bit more productive. You're not gonna regret it.
Yeah, like, I know we're saying this, we do procrastinate a little bit, but like, once in a while is fine. Like, let's say if you have to do a worksheet for a class and you procrastinate, that's fine. But don't procrastinate to the point where you have to write your 4,000 words for your EE the night before it's due. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't procrastinate. Do make sure that you're not gonna get yourself into a burnout. But keep those time management skills at a decent level.
Yeah, IB does a really good job of teaching you to be an organized person. Just because of these 3 things.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're taking it, like, especially for CAS. I think most kids don't really work on them throughout the week just because they don't have the time. Like, it's impossible to make the time. So what they do is they just work on it over the weekends. Yeah,
like, I go running during the weekends.
Yeah, so like, for example, what I do is, one of my CAS experiences is just drawing. What I'll do is, over the weekend, I will literally carve out hours out of my day to work on that, so that in the coming week I can focus on my schoolwork rather than having to work on CAS. So be mindful about that. Set out like a schedule for when you can work on CAS, or when you think is viable for you. Yeah.
And that's about it overall.
Yeah, that's it. This might have been more of a rant. And we're sorry for that. We hope we said some, things that were helpful.
Yeah, hopefully it was helpful and a little bit inspiring, I guess. But yeah, key concept here is that with these 3 elements, time management is key. Yeah. But you got this, I hope.
Like, if you manage your time well, I can assure you will at least pass. Whatever, like, you'll at least pass your EE or TOK. Because it just means that you've spent enough time on your EE to make sure that it's not horrible. Like, you've made sure that it's mediocre at the very least.
But yeah.
So, that's all we have for today.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. We don't really have much of an upload schedule, but we're trying to post an episode once, like, every week. So we will see you next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.